Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the Curious Anarchy podcast, and we're back once again with another episode of the Astrology series. Today's guest is a wonderful friend of mine, Antiqe. How are you, Antiqe?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's a pleasure to speak with you on a Sunday afternoon.
It's a nice day, the sun's shining, so it's all good vibes.
Amazing. You know what? It's so good to hear your voice. It's been a little while since we've spoken. But yeah, I'm so pleased that you were open to coming on to the podcast to share a story with us. You are a Scorpio, if I'm...
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to hear what story you come with. But just before we go into that, can you share a little bit about what you're up to in your life?
At the present moment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so right now in my life, I am on not a pause, but I would say, I could say pause, but it's not pause. I'm still going, but it's like I'm not actually involving myself in too many different things. I'm taking it easy. I'm focusing on my health and my well-being and growing in that kind of way, and more my spirituality, I would say, to do with just growing in my health. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you do workshops, don't you? And you work with young people and with women. And can you kind of share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've been running the One Wing project. It provides the wings to fly, like I like to say. And yeah, I'll do a lot of creative workshops, raise awareness of social issues, and a lot of growth and development. It depends. Sometimes it can borderline onto working with in an artist and creative way in that way, or sometimes it's just using my creativity to make an impact in a community and connect with young people and female groups. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do a bit of mentoring and coaching as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's me really in that aspect.
And this is primarily around young people, working with young people, your mentoring, coaching?
Yeah, I also work with adults as well. I kind of don't discriminate. So I work with mostly female groups and young people, males and females, but I have worked with males as well. So, whoever wants to grow and develop and reach potential, I'm someone to connect with. Obviously, I have been an artist for a long time, and I use my creativity to engage with other people and communicate and explore different themes, and topics. So yeah, I love it.
Okay, wonderful. It's so good to hear you kind of just articulate all of this again. And this is going to be shared all over the world. I think currently we're in around 20 countries or so, from New Zealand, America, Chile, Jamaica, America, of course, and around Europe. Got quite a wide listening base.
That's excellent.
I know. It's actually doing better than I
thought.
But so I think the next thing then is to hear what you would like to share with us. Can you tell us your story?
Yes. I'm just going to free flow right now, but there's a few themes that I wanted to touch upon. I would say it's a life story, my life story, in a bit of a nutshell. But I really thought it's important to speak my truth, and my life has been about life, obviously living. I've had death in my life, and I've had a lot of rebirth. And I find that quite interesting in terms of being a Scorpio, because they are some themes that I have kind of come across within that star sign. I don't really know too many things about it, but I just thought it would be nice to share. So my story starts in 2003 when I gave birth to my son, my beautiful son Sol. And
how is he, by the way?
Sorry?
How is he, by the way?
Oh, he's well. He's well.
Good,
Thank
good,
you.
good.
So at that point in life, I just finished college. I was pregnant with him, and I was doing health and social care.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, I just wanted to go into law after doing a lot of like the acts and stuff on the course. And eventually I applied and I got accepted to uni. At that point as well, I was pregnant in college and I felt like, what should I do with my life? And I love justice. I love, speaking. I have a voice. I'm a good communicator. And I don't know, I love people. So I just thought, why not do law? So many different diverse topics and stuff like that. And I need diversity in my life. So I went on to have my son. I got the top grade in my class at college and I completed it and I was really happy. I actually done even better than they predicted. Got into my course. I think I took a year out to, be with Sol.
Yeah. Before mummy duties.
Yeah. And then I knew I was going to go to uni to study law because I'd already applied and been accepted and whatnot. Okay. So when he was about 1, I started my course. Everything was going well. It was very challenging because obviously I was a new mother. I had to drop my son to the nursery, then go to uni, then go to my lectures and seminars, then pick him up, then bring him home, that kind of routine. And at that point, I was with his father, but there was some other personal stuff going on, which I won't go into it right now. But, I was literally having to kind of like, get on with it myself due to those circumstances. Mm-hmm. And I ended up going to uni. It was different, self-studying. Law was quite challenging because there's a lot of reading and stuff, but I got through it. Anyhow, got to my first year, my exams on the second semester, and my father passes away. The thing about that was that he died in front of me. Like I saw the last breaths coming out of his mouth, and it was very, very traumatizing. But I didn't realize how traumatized I was and how much I was suffering until many years later, which I will go into. So fast forward, I done my degree and everything like that, with challenges, because every time I came to do my exams, so I couldn't sit my exams because he died on the 26th of December, because it was on Boxing Day, but he died in the AM, so it's like, technically the 27th, but it was the Christmas holidays. I went to uni and we had our exams, but obviously I couldn't sit it. I buried him on the day of my public law exam a month later, and every time my exams came round, it was a trigger. I had like reactive depression from my father's passing, and it was just a trigger. So it's very, very difficult. It set me back because instead of just going on to my second year, I had first year exams plus my second year, and in my third year I had some second year exams. It was just all crazy, do you know what I mean? But I got through. Anyhow, during the process of going to uni and going through that experience with my father, so I had life, giving birth, and I had death, I ended up writing a lot of poetry, and that is what ignited my love for expression. Again, I've always been an expressionist. I've always been someone that can write. When I was younger, I had poetry published. I used to sing, but I just wasn't confident. I used to sing in a choir, but not by myself. And when my father died, I had this thing, I would call it the worst day and the best day of my life, because it's like I had this great depression over me. But then the best thing that came out of it was that I decided that I am going to do something with my creativity and it was like my therapy. I decided to live life to the fullest because life's too short to waste.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to a music academy and so on and so forth. Fast forward, I ended up on stages, winning competitions, doing all kinds of things creatively. The only thing I would say is that I didn't give myself time to process. I just threw myself into my uni. I threw myself into my expression, and everything was really going quite well to a degree, but underneath there was still a lot of like, you know, stress and stuff like that. So fast forward, I ended up getting winning all these competitions, you know, being on like quite well-known platforms, and being thrusted into kind of like a bit of a limelight in that aspect, and it was all going very well. I ended up in studios with artists that I always looked up to, and you know, without going into name dropping and that, it's not about that, it's just about the story. And
give us a couple.
Sorry?
Give us a couple.
Well, I ended up in the studio with Getz, who you know that we love. I ended up working with lots of different people, you know, like, you know, I've done a collaboration with Bray Brown, Dot Rotten, you know, up and coming like urban acts and stuff like that. I won't go into everything, but you know, just working with producers and just connecting with other creatives, you know, being around different people, in the industry. Anyhow, I ended up just being there naturally. I didn't try. I was just doing and being, and it was all about growing personally, and overcoming all the things that I felt that I needed to improve on, like, you know, being confident to share my voice, to share my thoughts, to stand up in front of other people and sing, and it just went from there. And obviously I won like £500, and I remember going to like an open mic, not knowing it was actually a competition, and winning 60 quid. So I was like, oh, this is nice, you know, this is what I actually like. So there was an element of, wow, you know, I love this. This is helping me to grow. This is really helping me to step out of my comfort zone. This is my therapy. This is helping me get over the things that I had experienced, especially losing my father. And it actually felt good. It became like a lifeline for me. Whether it was in front of people or just to write for myself and express, I found something that really helped me to move forward. So fast forward, I remember doing Melody Kane's female takeover.
Oh wow, I remember that.
Yeah, and ASAP Rocky was there. Do you remember?
Yeah, like I didn't go, but I remember you telling me about it.
Yeah,
so I think I was in Birmingham at the time.
Yeah, otherwise I think you would have come. I just think.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was there, and I wasn't confident fully in who I was as a person, as an artist as well. I was actually suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder without knowing, but I had all the symptoms and all the things that you go through, anxiety as well. I was really suffering with anxiety at that point. And on that day, the most bizarre thing happened to me. It was like the whole room froze, and I was the only one moving. And the only way that I can explain it was like I was going like the Matrix. It was like, yeah, it was just so bizarre. It was like everyone froze and I was the only one moving, but that wasn't the case. And it was just, it was weird. And I kept having these types of experiences, not remembering my lyrics, freezing, just, I don't know, I just went blank. Like I would go to my performances and the words have just gone. I don't know what was happening. I remember I went to this meeting in Brixton at the mayor's office, and everybody was saying, you know, who they are, what they do. My heart was pumping. It was mad anxiety. I don't know what was going on, but I came to find out later. So the reason why I experienced that, and actually going back to when I was in the studio with Getz, the year before, no, sorry, Excuse me. I'm really sorry about that.
That's
You know
all right.
what? I didn't want to miss your call. That's why I put it on loudspeaker. The year before that, when I went to the studio, I was in the studio with Getz, I would say 2012. I was working on an album and everything was going great. But I then again thrusted myself into my creativity because my son's father was murdered in 2011 on the 2nd of June. So that was another death experience. So then I ended up in, focusing on creativity because that's what helped me through the first time. But it was a different experience because a murder is different from a natural death. And this time it wasn't my father, it was my son's father and partner who I loved very, 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 very much. So it was all a bit crazy, but I then again threw myself into my creativity. I'd done a bit of counseling here and there along the process of losing my father and my son's father. And I didn't actually delve into my therapy until the time in 2013 when I was on stage. When I was in the studio with Getz, his music, what he was doing at the time, he was working on a J. Clark album, and I was supposed to be on a particular track. I can't remember the name of it, but he was talking about a lot of emotive stuff, things that he went through, and I just got triggered in the studio. It was about about 6 months to a year later after my son's father passed away, and I just got really, really triggered, and that session actually crumbled because my emotions was so overwhelmed. I felt like this is the best place to be on my birthday, but I think with when you're going through emotional stuff, you're very vulnerable, and especially when you're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, you don't know what's going to trigger you at any time. It could be a smell, it could be a sound, it could be a word, it could be a memory, it could be music, it could be somebody or something someone says, or the way someone looks. So it was very hard at that time, but my creativity has sustained me, and that from 2012 onwards, I would say that's when I really started to put myself first, seek counseling. I went to counseling for about, I think, 15 sessions to 18 sessions, and I also then started to develop the One Wing project even more so, and then actually I was facilitating already before that workshops, but that's when I really put myself into that, and it was more about helping others as well as myself. Even though with my music and spoken word and stuff, it does help others, it was just a different way to express my creativity. So I delved into that, and ever since then I've been working on self and working in my creativity in whichever form that I can. It's mainly been for the benefit of me, but it's also definitely been for the benefit of others. I would say each time I've been through the kind of life-death experiences, I've come out and rebirthed myself. It's been the worst and the best moments of my life. And recently, to date, I'm rebirthing again, I would say, with the fact that I'm now focusing on my health and my well-being even deeper, on a deeper level.
Sure. Yeah, like I've seen some of your progress posts, and you're doing really, really well with that.
Yeah, and also my spirituality, connecting with, the creator, creation, procreation, nature, God, the universal themes, working really strongly with affirmations and manifestations, and really getting to understand who I am to the core, and digging up some of the old beliefs that are embedded, that are there, that became core beliefs that I don't need, that don't serve me. And I would say I'm letting go. Right now, I'm going through some health issues, which at the beginning of the year, I started off on my healthy eating and emotional eating recovery journey. It's now because I have certain health issues which I am facing. It's more about lifestyle, it's more about health or being, because if you don't have health, you don't have anything. So all the stuff, the great stuff that I have within me will never come out if I'm not here to bring it out. If you're not in the land of the living, then do you get what I mean? So
totally.
Yeah.
I think you want to share yourself with the world before that day comes, whenever that day may be. I think that's something that I very much resonate with also.
Exactly. So, I've been through the salt and peppers of life, and we all are going to go through it. It's just how you find ways to manage it, how you bring resources from yourself or others to get yourself through it, and how you manage it. And it takes time, it's not something that you can just get on with. You it's a process, and I'm learning even now that I have to, it's a process, and sometimes it's a day by day thing. Sometimes, it's taken me 10 years or over to get to this point within myself. So it's a process, and we just have to trust the process. And sometimes that's hard, but at the end of the day, life is a very delicate thing, but it's also very beautiful, and it can be very painful. But for me, it's always been about turning the pain into beauty, and that's that for me. I lost a mentor this year in January. I also lost 2 young people. One of the young people was my son's soul's best friend last year, and they were both very high profile case to knife crime. And it was hard. I sought counseling then because it works for me. You've got to find what helps you through. There's lots of tools and things that I've used, but at the end of the day, like now at the stage that I'm in my life, I like to go out in nature. I like to take time. I like to be present. I'm just on a different vibration. It's not about, like, even with my music and stuff, like I feel like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and he said to me, "You're a bird. Birds just sing. They don't get publishing deals and they're not into fame." You get me? But everyone who's supposed to hear their voice, when you hear the birds tweeting, you hear it. You know what I mean? And the birds will always be singing every morning. So don't stop singing. And I'm not. So yeah.
It's a really, really powerful tale that you told us there. There's so much depth in what you shared. Very profound thoughts. Really, your philosophy seems to see you through it all. Using your creativity to overcome deaths in your experience, people that are close to you, very close to you, and still navigating the rest of life. So you have your son, you have your one project, mentoring, consultations, all of that, and the music on top of that. It's a very layered life, and I think it speaks to the fact that this is something that we all experience to some degree. Just what happens or what has happened, may vary, but it's certainly an exemplary credit to who you are, and thank you for sticking with us and for being here today, Antiqe.
Yes, and I'm grateful, and I have to say gratitude that I am here today. We are here today. We're speaking, we're breathing. We get to do this. We get to share this moment, and we get to share it with other people. The main thing what I'm taking away from things is, like, people always say to me that they find me inspiring and empowering and all this stuff. stuff. You have to empower and inspire yourself as well. Don't ever forget that. Do you know what I mean? Because we're all going to go through traumatic things, uncomfortable things, things that we don't like. But if we can find ways to empower ourselves, raise awareness about ourselves, and inspire ourselves to keep going, that is really powerful. Do you know what I mean? And we have the power within us. You know, it's not outside of us, it's in us. Yeah. And it's about touching that light that we have and sharing it with ourselves and then other people. That's what I believe anyway.
And that's what we came to do here today. Thank you so much, Antiqe. I really appreciate it. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Maybe, you know, details for your One Wing project and social media, maybe?
Yeah, sure. You can find out all the information about me at www.itsantique.co.uk or on all social medias at It's Antiqe.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today, Antiqe. It's been a pleasure to hear you share your story so powerfully with us. I'm sure that the Curious Anarchy listeners will be so inspired and will be empowered by your words. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
That's all we've got time for today, right here on the Curious Anarchy podcast. It's the Scorpio edition of the Astrology Story series. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Look out for the next one. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.